Konbanwa minasan! You're just starting a little early, just so the algorithm can send out all the notifications. How is everyone? Is there anyone here, or is it just me? Is this what I get for being early? I see Effie. I see Leanne. Am I the only one here besides that? I want to start early just so I can give everybody a chance. In my chat, I have somebody. That's weird. RFC 55. But then why doesn't it show up in the chat? Yeah. So, how is everyone tonight? We're going to give the YouTube time to send out notifications. I hope everyone is doing well. Who is all here? Who is all here? I'm in a good mood. Hi, Steven. India. Ooh, we're actually going to get people down because they're actually talking about something gross. I was like, people are so sick of just my talkings. Also, happy Pride Month. I'm pansexual, so happy Pride Month. I celebrated today by going out and buying some sparkly Steve Madden sandals. How sparkly are those? Look how sparkly they are. They're see-through kind of. I think they're pretty cool. So, we'll officially start in about 3 minutes. Get ready for a completely disgusting stream. Clickbait of a Death Factory. Yeah, Death Factory, that wasn't good. But I didn't mean to clickbait. It's just like I have this book. Oh, yeah, it would have been helpful that I realized I own this book called Factories of Death on Japanese Biological Warfare before the stream. But I just found this on my bookshelf the other day. It's done by Sheldon H. Harris, which he was one of the ones that I think he put in for, what was it? The reports for Congress for the... One second. I know I said disturb in this link. Let me find the link. I think he helped put together the introduction, the Japanese Imperial Army Disclosure Act of 1999, if I'm not mistaken, Sheldon Harris. Hi, Cherry. No, that's good. No, I know, Steven. I'm actually in a good mood today. I'm not depressed, which is surprising. Hi, Charlotte. We'll start in 1 minute. And I didn't want to mess up my lipstick, so I'm drinking out of this kitty cup. Because I'm 34 and I don't care. I also had a guy today tell me, be constructive with your time and don't spend too much time on K-pop. Hi, Zelstar. Thank you. I was messing around with my lips to see what it would look like if I got lip injections. Just fancying the idea. So we're about to start here in 1 minute. I've been talking about this all week. And we were actually, when I had my Just Talking stream this morning, I'm actually going to be doing a stream and talking about what's going on with the Uyghur population in Xinjiang, China, and about the re-education camps, aka concentration camps that they have going on there. So that'll be an interesting little juicy bit. Because, yeah, I know I really want lip injections, just a little bit. So I was just doing... Thank you. I wish more people said they love my voice. Graham's like, no lip injections. I just wanted to just try it. Hi, Chris. Okay. I am the queen of PowerPoint. This is the best graphic that my early 2000 teenage angst web designer could come up with. So unit 731. Let's begin. Unit 731, also in Japanese, well, the Japanese, the Chinese, or whatever Japanese up there says, it's actually called the Kondogen Boeki Kyusui Bihonbu, which is also known as the Epidemic Prevention and Water Purification Department of the Kwantan Army. And this was set up in Manchuria, which is what's known as Manchuria today, but in Japanese it's called the Manchukuo. And it's right up here. And what happened is after World War I, the Japanese were depleted on resources, I don't know if Ryan's here, Effie. They were depleted on resources. Their population was spiking, and they needed to get some stuff to help fix this problem quick. So they decided to head over to Manchuria, which was rich in natural resources. And China ended up complaining to the League of Nations about it and hoping that the League would help or whatever get Japan out of Manchuria. And the League of Nations told Japan to get out of there, and Japan said no. And that was basically they went. Well, Japan said no, and the League of Nations was like, you still need to get out. And they kept saying no, and it was like a little bit of a fight. And they used the demand for them to get out of Manchuria as an excuse to leave the League of Nations, which kind of let Japan know what they could get away with, which is kind of what is being mirrored right now with Xinjiang province. So, yeah. So this is where Unit 731 was set up in Harbin province, which is right here. And it was run by Shiro Ishii. He was one of the earliest advocates for the Japanese biological warfare department. He wanted to create the program, and he started doing this around 1927. By the end of World War II, he was a lieutenant, and his unit 731 was also called the Togo unit. And he said that it was really important that they do these type of experiments with biological warfare on human beings, so they could see like the so it would be, what was the word I'm looking for? So it would be reflected quite quickly what the results would be, because they were planning on using biological warfare on California, the United States, and in Europe. So that was really important to them. They thought that that would help win the war. So little did they know, though, that we were making nuclear bombs. But yeah, their thing was biological warfare. And besides his unit 731, there's also a lot of other subunits that were around Harbin, like Southeast, other places in the area, that they actually did experiments. And they weren't just held on the compounds themselves. They were actually done on like little towns and like whole like city area. So it wasn't just like contained to just the unit themselves. So the unit 731 was officially established in 1936. And like I said earlier, there was other units that were established around Harbin. They dehumanized people as soon as they got in the door. They weren't even actually humans anymore. They were referred to as logs. And if you watch any of the movies, which we tried watching the movie, not only did it suck because the subtitles were way off, it was just really gross. And I hate to say that the only good parts of the movies were the atrocities that were going on, but it was so hard to watch, especially knowing that this happened. It was and we just couldn't even. So here we have like this is like the old picture of like the whole unit that was there. These are some of the guards that worked there, and that's some like the leftover areas where they like used to burn bodies and stuff. And what they did is they took the Chinese people, and basically they were guinea pigs. They did everything from, I have a list. Vivisections. This picture here, the one on that has the red box on it. I actually went on a gore board and found this. Vivisections is when they like cut open the body, but the person's alive. They didn't do dissections on people that were already dead. They did live dissections. They would infect people with any type of virus or disease they could see. This lady that's on the table there was infected with syphilis. They cut her open while she was alive to see how the syphilis was affecting her organs. And she was also pregnant. So that's why I put a block over it, because her fetus is falling out of her stomach. And the interesting thing about this, I wish you could see, is that the woman's actually white. Death March, there was Russians that were there helping with build the railroad. And this woman's a white Russian woman. And this is like a reenactment here of like one of the vivisection. Is it still lagging? Oh, wait. Let me turn my Wi-Fi off on my phone. I have nothing else with Wi-Fi on. Are we up to speed? Let me see. Of course, when I'm like really getting into it. Oh, that's a lag. That sure is a lag, guys. I'm watching it because it's so behind. Yeah, they would do that to them when they were alive. God, you're okay now? Okay. So yeah, they would do that to them when they were alive. So like, oh God, you don't even want to know the things I've seen. This was one of the major things that they did. They would infect people with bacteria, viruses, and then they would see how that would react in real time to the body. And it was better for them to get this data when it was alive, when the person was alive, than when they were dead. Oh, I think I went. This is a small clip. We'll come back to that actually. Damn it. Just go back. So right here on the right-hand side is a list of some of the viruses and stuff that they gave the people at Unit 731. That included anthrax, botulinus, brucellosis, CO poisoning, cholera, dysentery, glanders, meningitis, mustard gas, plague from Shinkyo Chandran epidemic, poison, salmonella, songo, smallpox, streptococcus, tetanus, tick, encephalitis, Tsugamushi, which is scrub typhus, tuberculosis, typhoid, and typhus. So they would use this on women, children, babies, and men. They would do experiments on people with disabilities, any type of foreigners. And I was actually investigating. They actually did it on prisoners of war from America. And I'm pretty sure that would probably include the UK as well. And yeah, it's pretty disgusting. So right here is all of the corpses laid out. They would take all the corpses and just burn them and get rid of them right away. These are some of the actual pictures from the unit. And the thing is they would go on the streets and they would literally just like kidnap people in broad daylight and just take them back. And it was estimated that there was around 10,000. The estimates that I've seen have been between 850 to 10,000 to 20,000. The Japanese really try to hide their tracks very well, and their records vastly differ from what the Chinese have, vastly differ from what like historians and scholars from other countries have. There's really no definitive answer on how many victims there were, but there are absolutely no survivors from this unit. Everybody that went in died. It was basically, the Unit 731 was basically the Chinese Auschwitz. Well, the Japanese, like Auschwitz. Like, they killed everybody. Here is some of the pictures from the museum that they have in Harbin right now. This one right here at the top left shows a Russian woman and her toddler. They were abducted off the streets in a nearby city, and they locked them in a gas chamber room and gassed them, I think, with mustard gas, and then took notes on how long it took each of them to die. That took, I think, the kid like less than 2 minutes, and I think it took the mother 5. Right here, we have the frostbite experiment where they would tie Chinese women, children, men to these poles, and then they would drop freezing cold water on your hand and make you sit out there for 7 hours until your hands were frozen like icicles. Then they would make you go inside where you would put your hands in room temperature water or hotter, and then they would slice off your flesh with swords. So that's really nice. And these are some of the torture aspects, and then a live vivisection. Literally, they would cut the limbs off their victims when they were alive. So, should I get everybody a minute? Yeah, there's actually a movie, like we watched Man Behind the Sun. The storyline ruins any of like the actual gross parts of the movie. Hi, Heather. And then there's a movie called Philosophy of a Knife. And I was going to watch it, but it got really bad reviews for being too theatrical in more shock gore than it actually was like historical accuracy to a movie. So I didn't watch it, but it's 4 hours. So let me go to the next one. The Japanese scientists were more astute than the Germans, both in banding together to plan their response to the American investigations and in realizing that the American interest in their data gave them a powerful bargaining chip. That was from a publication in the Cambridge Quarterly of Healthcare and Ethics. America bought all the data that was collected from all the torturing of the Chinese and the POWs and the Russians. They bought all of that data, and they let all of the Germans, all those war criminals, not the Germans, all the Japanese off the hook, kind of like Operation Paperclip. And this is something that I found in these little clippets here are clippets from documents that were classified, documents between 1943 and into the late 40s about the biological warfare that was being performed there. And I was reading through hundreds of pages of these. And then I found this one, in the government documents that says, does the United States government have evidence that biological experiments were conducted on U.S. prisoners by Unit 731 in Manchuria during World War II? And the response was, this was like on a court thing. They were on court. We have conclusive evidence that unethical experiments such as dissections of live human beings were performed on captured U.S. airmen and other American POWs. However, we have not been able to locate conclusive evidence that the U.S. POWs were the subject of biological warfare experiments. We encourage anyone who has the documents or other information on this issue to come forward and share with us. There was somebody in the 90s in Colorado that went right in front of the Veterans Affairs Board and said that they didn't go to Unit 731 per se, but they were approached by Japanese scientists around the Harbin area, and they were given injections, and then they were being all the information about these injections were being highly documented by the Japanese. They seen people being brought in, and they seen some completely horrible things. And but it was like one or two people that said this because everybody else is dead because obviously World War II. So this stuff was actually being done on Americans, and America basically paid for it and let these guys off. So, and then if you go here, this was from there. It said, in the report on war criminals, and this was the thing, Nishimura accuses Yamaguchi of the dissection of many prisoners of Allied forces. Allied forces includes Britain too, at the outdoor dissecting ground at Unit Number 100 Army Corps in Hankin, Manchuria. Unit 100 was a sister unit of Unit 731, and of infecting POWs with glanders. And this is from an American, the one on the right comes from the declassified documents that were once classified. August 23rd, 1946. These three people, Motoji Yamaguchi, Yujiro Wakamatsu, and Hosaku, were all veterinary surgeons that are war criminals. And it says that the above veterinary surgeons dissected many war prisoners of the Allied forces at the outdoor dissecting ground of Number 100 Army Corps in Hankin, Manchuria. As their inspections of the cattle plague, they were infecting prisoners of war, Americans, Allied forces, British, with cattle plague. If you would investigate these criminals, you will find many other persons who have participated in these dissections. There are a number of these witnesses of the inspections. The Japanese basically wrote to us that they have people that would testify that there were certain war criminals that they labeled as war criminals that did live dissections and infecting a biological like warfare crap into Americans, and they didn't do shit about it. They didn't open any investigation. They kept it classified. So when people actually wanted to speak about it, and this is when they ended up doing, what was it? They actually made the Japanese Imperial Army Disclosure Act of 1999. By the time it's 1999, a majority of those people are dead. So, like, what good is that going to do? They didn't want us to know what they were doing. That is terrible. Yeah, it's pretty much what happened in the Nazi camps. And, like, the thing is like, the stuff that was collected from the unethical experimentations at Unit 731, the sister camps, and, like, the German concentration camps, highly unethical. But they did advance science to a degree, but at what cost? Imagine one day somebody comes into your town. Imagine somebody comes to your door right now and you're sitting there, you're knitting something, you're sitting with your kids, and a foreign force comes in and tears you away from your house and then infects and tortures you and your family right in front of each other. Imagine watching your 3-year-old being ripped limb by limb. And that's okay. And that happens to 10,000 families. That's okay. I don't think that's okay. And that's what really makes me mad, because this pisses us off hearing this now, and it's going on right now in Xinjiang, China. Yeah, it was to that level. Like when we watched the movie, there was a 3-month-old baby that this woman was holding when she got off the train, screaming. They threw the baby in the snow, covered it with snow, and they said, it'll still be helpful. We can stuff it later. Like it's some type of science project. So, yeah. So they actually interviewed some of I think the people that were there. Oh, I actually have a book on this. Hold on one second. Let me, Chotamate. Let me stop the cam for a minute. I completely forgot I had this book. This book by James Dawes is called Evil Men. He interviewed some of the last surviving Japanese soldiers and doctors who worked in these camps, and he interviewed them. And this is the book. It's called Evil Men. It will make you literally vomit in your mouth. I think I have one page here. So I will read this right now. This they're interviewing an old soldier right now, and this is his experience. He said, "Children, I never could do. I never could on my own target and shoot them and stabbing kids with a bayonet. I've never done that a single time. I just couldn't do it to kids. But women were no problem. There were no children, no kids. However, one thing I can say, there was just one. It happened when we went into a village, and the old soldiers were first set on rape. And so we went to each village, and then in China, there's something called an ondoru, a heater, you know. Inside there, a woman was holding her child like this. And so the old soldiers and us went inside. There's a woman in there. Kaneko, pull out the kid and go out front. When I'm done, I'll hand her over to you." Now, what I'm reading isn't actually what happened at Unit 731, but it's like an example of an atrocity that happened during the same time in China, just to get an idea of the ruthlessness. And I took the kid out as I was told. Then there was a woman trembling in a corner. Then what we could hear from the old soldier behind us was the old soldier's noise, his angry voice, his voice. That's a sort of thing. And after a while, he did it for a while, which was sex. We heard the woman's crying voice. And after that, the old soldier grabbed the woman's hair and came out front. "Kaneko, come with me," which Kaneko is the soldier. I said, "Yes, sir," and went with him. And then I forgot that the kid was even there. In a village, there was definitely always, because long ago, they didn't have running water. There was always a well. He took her to where the well was. He took her there, and then the old soldier pushed the woman against the well. Did it like this, you know, like this. He pushed her against it, her head, her hair, and I was told to hold her legs. I'm holding both of the woman's legs. We lift her up like that, and we tossed her into the well. And at that time, the kid, because his mother had been thrown into the well, went around the well yelling, "Mama, Mama." But he was about 4 years old, you know. He couldn't quite reach. And there was a tapping sound, whether it was from inside of me or the well, I didn't know. And then he had a chair, like a stand or a table, that he dragged out. He used that as a stand, said, "Mama," then pause. He threw himself into the well. So they raped women, threw them into wells. The children would either throw them into the wells with the mom, or that one fell in. They would throw babies up into the air and stab them with bayonets. Yeah, this book has this is first like source documentation. That one's really good. So if you really feel like destroying your soul, now we'll go to the video. Yeah, I just can't believe it. There's just, I can't even believe God has let us come. If there is even a God, if there is even one, I can't believe that he let us go this far. I would have been restart at least hundreds of years ago. We're restarting this whole damn thing. Okay, let me go back to the video. I'm going to pause it, so let me know if you guys can hear it. Hold on. The BBC. We're going to watch the BBC. Okay, it's going to be terrible quality. So let me know as soon as you can if you can hear it or
Former members of Unit 731, a Japanese military unit that conducted illegal human experiments during World War II, can be seen discussing the atrocities they committed in a video that was recently released. Coming just before the 69th anniversary of Japan's surrender on August 15th, The video has shed new light on the unit's past activities in northeast China's city of Harbin. This is Jean Chengmin, curator of a museum dedicated to the unit and an expert from the Harbin Academy of Social Sciences. Over the past 16 years, Jean has been to Japan 25 times to interview Japanese veterans and record video testimonials. Unit 731 was a covert biological and chemical warfare research and development unit of the Japanese military that engaged in lethal human experimentation. Established in 1935, it served as the center of Japan's biological warfare in China and Southeast Asia during World War II. The museum was once the main building used by Unit 731, located in the Pingfang district of suburban Harbin. In August 1945, when the Soviet Union entered northeast China and freed Harbin, the unit had to abandon their facilities in haste. The retreating Japanese troops blew up the compound to destroy evidence of their activities.
It's rather difficult to find evidence of the crimes or investigate the historical truth. We have long been searching for victims in China, but their words are only part of the evidence. What's indispensable is the testimony from the unit's members. That's why I started my year-long trips.
Jean's trips began in the 1990s. At that time, the youngest veteran of Unit 731 was nearly 80 years old, while the oldest was 95 years old. All of the veterans Jean interviewed have since passed away. The last one died in April 2014. Jean said the videos he recorded have therefore become more important.
Some Japanese veterans talk about it while lying in bed, at home, or in hospital. Most of what they said was about the core parts of Unit 731. They needed a great deal of courage to discuss what they did.
Unit 731 was notorious for experimenting on live humans in order to develop biological weapons. They injected living bodies with a variety of bacteria, including bubonic plague, cholera, typhoid, and tuberculosis. Prisoners used for experiments, sometimes referred to euphemistically as logs by the unit, were then subjected to vivisections, sometimes while they were still alive and conscious, for the study of the effects of disease on human bodies.
I participated in the vivisections. I did them every day. I cannot remember the number of people we dissected. At first, I refused to do it, but then they wouldn't allow me to eat. It was an order. Gradually, I changed.
Another member recalled his experience with Unit 731. He died in 1999 and recorded his testimony from his bed.
I did vivisections at the time. The experiment was conducted on a living Chinese woman who was infected with syphilis. She was sleeping. Because she was alive, the blood poured out just like water from a tap. I have no courage to recall things like this now. They would wake up from anesthesia and cry out, "Don't hurt my children." I cannot forget these things ever.
This is another Japanese doctor. He worked as an army surgeon in a cooperative hospital for the unit. He admitted to having participated in 14 vivisections. Some were conducted simply to give the doctors practice and to test their skills.
In the room, there were over 10 surgeons waiting for practice. A nurse about 20 years old stood beside the operating table. It wasn't quiet. Everyone was laughing and joking, just as usual. Then the experiment started. This time, the victim was a Chinese man. I don't know how he was captured. We didn't care whether he was innocent or not. Someone pushed him hard and he cried, kneeling on the ground, struggling backward. I also pushed him really hard. Later, he seemed exhausted and gave up hope. The nurse said to him in Chinese that he could sleep and that the anesthetic would prevent any pain. He walked slowly towards the operating table and laid on it. The vivisectionist wasn't very skilled. He cut a big opening in the belly, put out the intestines, cut them, and connected them. I stood aside to direct. The man lay still in front of me, as if he was dead. Altogether, 6 experiments were conducted on him, including one in which one of his arms was amputated. Almost 1.5 hours later, the operation ended and he was dead.
It is estimated that the unit experimented on at least 7,000 people from 1930.
Yeah, so that's a little gross. A lot of gross. So I've been pretty like sad looking up all this stuff, but 7,000 live people, children, and all, like, can you imagine one of these people being your neighbor? Like, it's just really depressing. So I'm going to show you some stuff that I found that was interesting. We're not going to go through all of it, but just it was an interesting find. So here is the select documents on Japanese war crimes and biological warfare between 1934 and 2006. This shows like the chronological overview of the documents that we're going to be seeing. So as you can see, like this is from 1944. These were top secret documents that are now declassified. So so each one, where's a good one? This talks about, what is it? They would take dry toxins, this one, dry toxins, and let them out into the air over cities, and they would be carried by planes, and the toxic power would be discharged. And it says that the dust is carried over the target area by the wind, and it's not only breathed, but settles on everything. Everyone getting any of it on the mucous membranes, the cornea of the eye, or into the lungs or stomach will be poisoned. The illness does not strike until from 6 to 24 hours after absorption, so that there would be little chance of the enemy against whom it was used discovering the nature of the attack until it's too late. Used against Japanese-held islands, there could be overrun without loss of life and be bombing radio installations. It would be possible to keep any hint of the nature of the attack from reaching other enemy bases. And they tested those type of toxins by airplane over certain Chinese cities. And that was what was in the government documents. It was silica as an insert dust. They said that this practice of testing it would be more humane than any weapon that is employed now. At that time, the victim simply falls to the ground, blind and helpless, and depending on the dose, will die or recover. But for the time being, he will be helpless as a fighting unit. What is it? See, secret. Let's see. This is the subject. This was from February 7th, 1945, on the possible introduction of disease-producing agents by Japanese balloons. They were going to use those balloons on American soil. This is a draft warning to the Japanese after getting these reports. And they said that they concluded that the Japan had been conducting research in both offensive and defensive biological warfare since at least the late 1930s. Prisoner PW reports indicate that certain Japanese universities and colleges have conducted research on biological warfare. PW reports indicate that Hongqing and Harbin, Manchuria are Japanese BW research centers. This one is from August 17th, 1945. And it's talking about the POW camp that they found in Mukden and Hotu. Source informed that the Americans were malnourished. It talks about the meals that they were fed, the conditions. It talks about the Japanese balloon attacks. This is the actual map of where they found out everything was, like Harbin, where the stuff was. Yeah, these are really interesting. All of this stuff is in. Also, if you go into the description, there's all the links to like these documents, and everything I used is all in the description. Also, along with my justico.com link, which is all my socials, and my donor link, not expected but appreciated because I'm unemployed and broke. But anyways, back to the documents. If you want to read through this all, it's all down there because it had to be made public due to the, what was it? Why do I always forget it? It's such a long one. The Japanese Imperial Army Disclosure Act of 1999. That's why it had to be declassified. So there's lots. And this is a narrative history of the Allied military personnel and war prisoners at the Mukden war prisoners camp in Manchukuo. I can never say that right. Never say that right. So this shows the proof that prisoners of war were used. And it has names. One of the guys in this was actually a man that's from 5 minutes away from me. Downers Grove, William Johnson. And it has all of their accounts in it. This is more of like the Pinfon Institute. This is more of like the maps. And this talks about plague infections. It's all chronological order. And it talks about all the activities. There's hundreds of pages of these. It talks about everything in detail. And like I said, all of it was top secret, but it's all declassified now. So it's an interesting look into this. There's 100 pages. And then it also has data tables by year. By year. There's so much stuff here. And I think I also included a link that talks about the Disclosure Act. And then there's one for the reports of Congress, too. There is a lot there. So there's so much there. Sorry, I'm a nerd. I like lots of information. So, what do you guys think? Was the casualties and the unethicalness of this whole situation worth the medical advancement? I want to hear your guys' thoughts. I don't think it was. When I think about myself and I try to put myself in a Chinese woman's shoes, being scared to death with my 2 kids, I just don't see that it's worth it. One is too many. Like, they couldn't have done criminals. It just, like, I don't know. I don't think it was worth it. Yes, let's just use pedos for medical testing. Yeah, the rapes were unnecessary for sure. And we're going to be looking at the rape in Nanking. The children, yeah, the children, women, like the children, why? It's just very sad. So, hi Susan, did you just get here? That you missed it? I just finished. Did that go really quick? How long have we been going? 40 minutes. So I hope you guys liked that. So we're going to be looking at I'm actually thinking about going through all these documents and trying to like make a data table of like how many people they said from each one and making an average. Oh no. I'm sorry I was ignoring the chat. I was like in the zone. It was in the zone, guys. So I hope you guys enjoyed it. Again, if you're interested, all the links are in the description for everything I use. Also, if you want to follow me on any of my socials or donation links or my Discord link is right there in the chat, just Aiko. So, yeah, thank you guys for listening to me rant and talk a little bit. It is hot here. It is like 90 degrees. Thank you. So, I hope also everyone's having a happy Pride Month. If you celebrate, I'm pansexual, so yes, I am. And again, I bought the sparkly rainbow slippers. I'm a nerd. Yeah, it's interesting information. There's a lot more gross information out there, so just get ready. So I hope you enjoyed. But it is 90 degrees. I have my door closed because the air conditioner is running. and it's like super loud. But thank you so much for everyone for coming, and I hope you all have a great day. I have a stream on Monday, which is going to be on, let me look, the Shanghai Jewish refugees, which is like we're like completely going a different route here. So this one is going to be interesting. Let me see. We're going to be looking at the Shanghai Jewish refugees. And I made that graphic, and I'm kind of proud about that. So, yeah, that'll be interesting because a lot of people don't know about that. Check phone. Thank you for your donation, Effie. I just checked. So, yeah, it's going to be an interesting stream on Monday. Hopefully, I have it all done by Monday. You're welcome, Leanne Smith. Yeah, I can't believe America let him off the hook. Like they're war criminals. They should have been executed. They should have had experiments done on them. Just my opinion. If anybody needs experiments done. But thank you so much. Join the Discord. We occasionally watch movies, and it's a lot of fun. We're supposed to be, I guess I'm supposed to be on Atwood on the 11th. It was supposed to be today. I guess there's confusion. I don't even know what I'm doing anymore. I'm just sitting here with you fine folks on a Friday night. Well, thank you guys. I love you and have a good night.